CF students!
Hey,
Welcome
we back.
to another Friday night here online. My name is Jess.
My name's Lewis.
And we are so happy you're here with us. You could be doing anything else, but you're here with us. And you're probably wondering, man, we haven't seen Lewis in a minute, but yeah, Lewis is with us now.
I'm still here.
We got rid of Gabe. You know, who needs that guy? No, you'll see Gabe in a little bit.
Yeah.
But before we get to all that, we want to stay connected with you, and it's super easy. All you got to do is go to cfmiami.org/connect, fill out that connection card so we can stay connected to you, and you can stay connected with us, and we can be friends.
Yep. There you go.
Also, you can stay plugged in on everything, and I mean everything happening at CF Students, and we got a lot of stuff coming up and happening right now. Just by staying connected to all social media, we have Instagram, we got YouTube, which you're watching right now. We got TikTok. We're getting into that, and we're getting stupid with it now.
Yeah.
So you gotta follow us on all that to stay up to date on all the crazy things that we're doing there. But that's not the only crazy stuff we're doing.
Yep.
We got something coming up.
We got something cool that we do here and there, you know what I'm saying? And if you're not on our Instagram, you're not gonna be up to date. And if you're not on our TikTok or on our YouTube and all that good stuff, you ain't gonna know. But we got Rally coming up.
Let's go,
Come on.
get excited.
Man, Rally
Let's go.
is gonna be crazy. There's gonna be merch, which we saw already.
Oh my gosh, it just came in.
That thing looks crazy. Like I'm not going crazy and over exaggerating.
No.
But Jess, tell them how crazy it looks.
We mean it this time. No,
it looks fire.
It's great.
It's
really
fire.
great.
There's shirts. We got shirts. We got crew necks. We got hats. Come on, man. Come through, okay?
Yep.
We got merch. We got a powerful message.
Yep.
Should we tell them who's giving the message?
No, we've told them, so you can tell them again.
Okay, Pastor Alex is going to be throwing it down, the OG, triple OG. Man, we got an amazing worship. Y'all know how worship be on Rally. That thing be crazy, okay? And it's going to be extra crazy, okay? So, man, make sure that on May 20th, that if you're watching from a campus right now, make sure you fill out the bus form, which you could go on our Instagram, like Jess just said. You can go in the bio and fill out the bus form. You can talk to your student director if you want to and be like, hey, bro, I need a bus form. Please send it to me. Or you can go to cfmiami.org/students. And if maybe you're watching from home and you're like, man, my campus is home, okay? I wasn't from home. You can go to the website, cfmiami.org/students, and you can fill it out. Or you can get dropped off here by your parent, okay? You don't need to go on the bus. You can just get dropped off here yourself. But it's gonna be fire. Merch, message, word, turn up. It's gonna be awesome, okay? It's gonna be great.
Yeah, do not miss next week. It's next week, guys.
It's gonna be crazy.
So don't miss out.
Yeah.
But after that, shortly after that, we also got something else coming up, and this one is for your parents.
Come on,
we know a lot of you are fifth graders coming up into sixth grade, and so you're gonna be coming in to CF Students, and we want to welcome you. Golf clap.
Come on.
There you go. We want to welcome you into CF Students, and I'm sure your parents want to get to know us too. So on June 3rd, that's a Friday night, is our first ever parent open house.
Come on.
So basically, it's an opportunity for your parents to come in to observe a CF student service and get to see what it looks like, get a feel for it. And then during the small group time, your parents will have a special this time with your student director and volunteers just to get a feel for them, get to know them, and all that stuff. So go ahead, let your parents know. Happening June 3rd, that's 2 weeks after Rally. We're gonna have our first ever parent open house. So,
Let's go. It's gonna be good. So make sure you tell your mom and your dad, tell everybody, your legal guardian, whoever, okay? But right now we're gonna move into our time of giving. Man, I love that we get to worship God. Obviously not just with our presence, with us being here and with our time, with our talents, but even with our treasure, something so tangible and important to us all. Money is important to us all. I don't care what you say, okay? But to be able to say, man, you know what? This ain't my money, this is God's money. And I wanna, man, I've been so blessed. You've been so blessed. I wanna be able to be a blessing to others. We do cool stuff here at CF Miami and here at CF Students. Like, we're able to do rallies and reach this city and reach the next generation for Jesus. And we're able to do parents open house, and we're able to do weekly services, and we're able to do online services for you guys who can't make it, and we're able to do all these cool things because of your giving, because of God using you, man, to be a blessing, not just to us, but to people you don't even know. There's people that are so blessed every week, students who come here for the first time. You don't even know their name, you don't know what they look like, you don't know their face, but what we do know is that, man, we're making an impact on this city, and we're making an impact not just here in Miami, but I can imagine the amount of people that watch this online that don't even live in Miami, Florida. We got people that watch from everywhere. So, man, you're being a blessing, and you're making an impact worldwide. So thank you for your giving. And if you want to give today and you never gave before, man, let me encourage you that you're making a huge, huge impact in the lives of not just here in Miami, but across the world. So if you want to give, man, I'll encourage you to go to cfmiami.org/give, okay? Or if you want, slap a QR code up here for them if you can, okay?
We can try. We can try.
Slap one of them
or go
up
to the
there.
website.
Or go to the website. Forget the QR code. Go to cfmiami.org/give and make an impact, okay? But hey, we've been on this series. It's been so fire. It's called With You, where we're talking about, man, friendships through thick and thin. For you to be that friend, to be with someone through thick and thin, or even vice versa, when they're lonely, or when they're anxious, or when they're depressed, or whether they're going through circumstances and situations. This series, man, for me, it's been a blessing. It's been very impactful. And man, it's gonna continue to be impactful, not just for you, but all those around you. So it's gonna be on and popping. It's gonna be great. So make sure you keep staying tuned in to our social medias and keep coming back every week on YouTube to check it out.
For real. And the reason why we have Lewis here, who brought a fire word kicking off this series last week, is because Gabe is actually bringing tonight's word.
Let's go.
No doubt about it. Right now, right? Oh, no doubt about it.
That's his
name. All right. So you came on a great night, but before we get to that, we're gonna go ahead and have some fun with a little game that I like to call Minute to Win It Relay. And Lewis, you know, when he came in, he was a little scared because
I was scared.
I've put him through a lot.
I was scared.
He had flashbacks to a certain Pocky chip.
I can't.
If you haven't seen that segment, pause, look it up, and watch us suffer together.
The hottest chip in the world. Hottest chip in the world.
This guy will never eat anything that comes from me ever again. We've gone through counseling and have addressed our trust issues,
good now.
but
it's
still
good.
there. We're good. But we're gonna do a Minute to Win It relay, and here is how it's gonna work. So you see these two tables right over here behind us, and we have a few goodies.
Come on.
All right, so here's how it's gonna work. So we have a stack of red Solo cups here, a bottle of water, and some cans of soda. What you have to do first is create a pyramid, a cup pyramid with your red Solo cups. You gotta build it up and then tear it down. Once you've done that, then you can move on to stage 2. And then you can go ahead and drink some water out of this bottle of water, and you gotta successfully bottle flip this bottle of water. Once you've successfully done that, you go on to the super expert level, stage 3, which is balancing this Coke can on its edge.
Dang.
You have to, it's a pretty exact science, but it is doable.
It is doable.
So you have to drink from the soda can and try to balance it on its side. The first person who can do that is the winner of our Minute to Win It.
I have been trying to quit Coca-Cola, but I'm doing it for y'all, okay?
You'll get back on the wagon tomorrow. Anyway, all right, so here we go. Let's see who can win it. So as soon as you're done, you go on to the next thing. And then,
so the cup pyramid, I leave it up?
You put it up and you bring it back down.
Okay, got you.
All right, and then you move on to the next thing.
Got you.
Here we go. Tito, just call it out. 3, 2, 1, go.
3, 2, 1, go.
In the meantime, so Lewis, how's wedding preparations going?
It's it was stressful, but now it's very fun. I just want to say I just finished my pyramid. Oh!
What the heck? How?
I just want to say I finished my pyramid. So yeah, it's going fun. How
whatever.
it is for
I'm
you?
over here like trying to, be a distraction and whatever. And then I'm the one who ends up losing.
Guys,
how am I like missing cups?
I can't drink too much water, guys. I can't, so I'm gonna No, I need to drink more water. Okay, I'm just gonna
pour
some.
I'm gonna borrow some of your cups. There, it's done. In Jesus' name.
I can't do it, y'all. I can't do it.
All right, I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
Okay. Ah! I can't, y'all. I just drank so much water before this. I'm gonna leave this here and I'll drink it later. Okay. She just made a. I just want to say she made a comeback. Ah! Oh, okay. I'm seeing the science. I'm seeing, guys. You see, I'm seeing the science. Hold up. Who's that?
Stop that. Come on.
Oh.
Come on. Ah. Yeah! All right.
Did she get it?
Yeah, I did. I never bottle. I don't want to drink anything anymore.
I know. I poured. I can smell that Coke. Bro, what the freak is going? Oh! This is for Steph. I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Steph, we're sorry.
God.
It's really carbonated.
I haven't drank a soda. I can't. I can't do it. I can't. I feel like I failed.
No.
At life right now. I can't do it. I always find a way to cheat. Y'all forgive my heart.
I'm with you.
All right.
Ha! See her.
I did it! Ah!
No way!
Doctor Strange, if you guys haven't seen it
what
yet,
is
IMP.
That? I'm a little shook right now. I'm not gonna lie. Personally, I didn't think this was actually gonna work.
Try, and I did it.
Wow! Ooh. Look at that. I'm right more there. Impressed than I'm upset about losing.
Go. I cannot believe I won.
I know, right?
I can't believe.
See, that made it worth it. It made it worth it that you broke your.
I drank a little few sips. That's it.
All right. Well, I'm tired. Anyway, well, CF students, I hope you had a good time, and I hope you thought for sure Lewis was gonna win. But go ahead, sit back and relax and enjoy tonight's message brought to you by Pastor Gabe.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. From our Doral campus, and we'll see you next week for Raleigh.
See ya. Come on.
See ya.
Yo, CFS, man, what is good? It is Gabe from the Doral campus. Happy Friday. I hope y'all are doing well, whether you're watching online or on the campus, man. Hope you guys are doing great tonight. I always say this, you could be doing anything on a Friday night, but you decided to worship God, to go in community, and understand that the Word of God is truth. And so I want to thank you for coming out on a Friday night to do just that. But hey, this week we are on our second week of this series called With You. We're talking about friendships through thick and thin. How can we be better friends? And last week, Pastor Lewis from the Palmetto Bay campus talked about loneliness. And this week, my goal for you tonight is to learn and practice how to be a better friend, not only by caring for people spiritually in their loneliness, but also caring for them in their physical need, in their emotional need, in their mental need. And so we're going to be reading from 1 Kings chapter 17, verses 8 through 16. So if your Bibles, you can open up there. If not, you can follow along right below. 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 8 through 16. This is what the Word of God says. Then the word of the Lord came to him being Elijah the prophet. Arise, go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow there to feed you. So he arose, and he went to Zarephath. And when he came to the gate of the city, behold, a widow was there, gathering sticks. Weird. And he called to her and said, bring me a little water in a vessel so that I may drink. And as she was going to bring it, he called to her and said, bring me a morsel of bread in your hand. And she said, as the Lord your God lives, I have nothing baked, only a handful of flour in a jar and a little oil in a jug. And now I am gathering a couple of sticks so I may go and prepare for myself and my son, so we may eat it and what? And die. And Elijah said to her, do not fear. Go and do as you have said. But first, make me a little cake of it and bring it to me, and afterward make something for yourself and your son. For thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, the jar of flour shall not be spent, and the jug of oil shall not be empty until the day that the Lord sends rain upon the earth. And she went, and she did as Elijah said. And she and her household ate for many days. Not for one day, but for many days. That's good. The jar of flour was not spent, neither did the jug of oil become empty, according to the word of the Lord that he spoke by Elijah. And that's verse 16. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for tonight, God. Thank you for the word that you have provided us with, that you speak to us, God. I pray that right now, wherever we're at, whether we're on our couch, whether we're watching in a different campus, I pray that after tonight's message, that we would continue to reflect your love through our friendships, through our relationships, and that we would grow stronger in caring for others. Just as Elijah did here with the widow and her son, that we would practice, that we would not just speak about, that we will practice in our daily lives to love and care for others, because it is your work in us. God, we thank you so much for all that you're doing within the student ministry. We love you. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen. All right, y'all. So before we get into this passage, because we skipped verses 1 through 7, I'm going to tackle on verses 1 through 7 after. But before we do that, I want to share with you guys a story. And this story is when I was in high school. It was a tradition for my boys and I. We would go after practice, and we would go to Wendy's. If y'all like Wendy's, say aye. I hope at least 2 of you said aye, because I love Wendy's, especially the deal that they have. And y'all know what I'm talking about, the 4 for $4. I love that deal because, man, I get stuff with that deal. It's cost efficient, right? And your boy ain't rich yet, not yet. And so it's good. It's a good way to spend money. It's a good way to eat. But it was a tradition for my boys and I to go to Wendy's and grab 4 for $4s. My mom doesn't know this, but she would give me lunch money, and the lunch money I saved for Wendy's. But anyways, I would go to Wendy's after practice, and when we would go there, I would usually treat my boys up because my boys would take me. So I said, you fly, I buy, right? But this day, I didn't have cash with me. And in this day, I had a gift card that my aunt gave me, right? So I was like, okay, we'll go to Wendy's. I got you and I. We were starving. We were starving just because we just came out of practice, so we were weak. We were hungry. We were thirsty. We ended up going to Wendy's. The line is super long because it's like 5:30. You already know Miami wants to go and get something quick to eat right after work, and so the line was super long. We finally get to the register. My mouth is parched. I am thirsty. I am hungry. And I finally ordered this 4 for $4 for the both of us. The double stack. I got the ketchup on it. No pickles. Ill. And I get my fries, whatever. I order everything. I order for my boy too. And when I go ahead and I try to pay with a gift card, my mouth is ready. I put the card in, and when I put the card in, it says the chip is not activated. Yeah. The gift card was not activated. And so I wasn't able to use the gift card that my aunt gave me. But by the grace of God, literally, because I was literally about to faint, I go on the counter. I'm calling up this. I forgot what the company was, but I'm trying to calling them up, activating the card, and an older lady comes from the back of the line, and she skips everyone to go and buy myself and my boy a 4 for $4. I didn't know who this lady was. She went from the back of the line, skips the whole entire line just to buy myself and my friends 4 for $4. And at that moment, although I did not know who she was, at that moment, I immediately wanted to establish a friendship. Immediately. Because she didn't have to do that. She was probably hungry herself. She probably came out of work. She probably wanted to go and dip. Maybe she's even tight of money. I don't even know. But she went out of her way to pay for me and my friend. See, in the same way that random older lady not only paid for me, but also for my friend at that moment and cared for my physical need, God has commanded both you and I to care for the people around us as well. And not only their spiritual needs, but also in their practical needs. As a matter of fact, if you're taking down notes, if you're writing down notes, I want to encourage you, man, if you're not a note taker, man, take notes today because it's very practical. Tonight's teaching is very practical. So our big idea for tonight, the one thing that I want for you to walk out with, the one thing I want for you to remember tomorrow morning, the one thing that I want for you to practice this week is this, is that just as God constantly cares for us, we must care for others. Just as God constantly, every single day, He pours out His grace upon us, gives us life, gives us food, gives us a house, gives us water, gives us school, gives us fill in the blank. He constantly cares for both you and I in the practical needs that we have. We must care for others. You see, one of the most common messages in the Bible is just that we need to be reminded to be on the lookout for other people and their needs. And sometimes those needs are practical. Now, thinking of Jesus, right, and the 12 disciples, man, that's what they did. They would live life feeding others, healing others. They would pray for others. They would practice just this truth. But it didn't just happen in the New Testament, it also happened in the Old Testament. Matter of fact, we're reading this story of Elijah, and this is found in the Old Testament. And we're going to see how God used the prophet Elijah to care and meet this widow and their son's needs in 1 Kings. Now, Elijah is a prophet. If you don't know what a prophet is, it is simply a messenger from God. And God will often give this message to these prophets to share with as many people in the world or to share with someone specifically. Now, in Elijah's day, the nation of Israel, which was God's chosen people, the nation of Israel were led by kings. That's why in this passage that we're reading, it's called 1 Kings. In the book following, it's called 2 Kings. 1 Kings, 2 Kings, it shows that the nation of Israel were led by kings. And some of them were good. Some of them believed in who God was. Some of them were obedient to God. They believed in the promises. They trusted and they put their faith in God. But some of those kings were bad kings. They rebelled against God. They rejected God. They didn't believe in God. As a matter of fact, some kings believed in fake gods. And in this case, this day, Elijah was under the realm of King Ahab. Now, King Ahab is known to be the most evil, wicked king of all of time of Israel. And King Ahab also had a wife named Jezebel, and they were both known to be the most wicked people in the Old Testament. They were actually, King Ahab was the 7th king of Israel, and he worshipped a fake god named Baal. Not Baal, Baal instead. And God sent Elijah a message for Ahab, King Ahab. And this message was that because of your wickedness, because of your disobedience, because of your rebellion to me, there will be a drought in the land. So this is what's happening in verses 1 through 7. This is God giving the message to Elijah. And Elijah now has to go to Ahab and say, hey, because of your wickedness, because of your evil doing and your rebellion, there's going to be a drought. If you don't know what a drought is simply just a lack of food, a lack of water in a land. And so in the midst of this drought, Elijah, of course, is in Israel. And he is struggling to find food. He is struggling to find water. But because God is so faithful to His people, to His children, God in verse 1 through 7 sends him a creek, a river, to get water. And then He also sends ravens, and you can read this in the verses earlier. He also sends a herd of ravens to get food for Elijah. But now verse 8, this is where we are. In verse 8, the creek is all dried up. The ravens ran out of food. And Elijah is hungry and thirsty again. But the problem is that God sent Elijah to this widow who is also hungry and thirsty. And Elijah shows up to the scenario and he says, hey, just letting you know, God told me for you to give all of your stuff to me. All that you have, gotta go to me. you can only imagine the thoughts that were going across this widow's head at the immediate spot. I don't have anything. I only have a son. A widow. If you don't know what a widow is someone who lost her husband, and so she doesn't have anyone to help provide for her son, to help provide for her, and they're in a drought. They have no they have no food, they have no water. She only has a jar of flour and some oil left. See, but Elijah knew God's character. Elijah knew that there was a bigger purpose. He understood why he was sent there. And Elijah knew that God sent Elijah to help her. As a matter of fact, if you're writing down notes, write this down as your first and only point, is that God is working through us when we care for people's needs. Elijah knew that him walking and him going to this widow and asking, hey, God has told me to tell you that all of your belongings, all of the food, all the things that you have, if you can feed me. He knew that there was a greater purpose behind this, and that was that God would help Elijah help her. God is working through us when we care for people's needs. You see, through Elijah, God provided this woman and this son to help Elijah's suffering. But in the same way, as a result, because this widow and the son helped Elijah, Elijah was now able to have some food as well. He was able to have the cake. He was able to have food. But I love that in this chapter, if you continue reading this chapter, Elijah doesn't stop there. As a matter of fact, Elijah stays with the widow and her son. And that's a big thing because this story communicates that caring for others isn't simply just practicing and caring for their practical needs. It also does something more. If you're writing down notes, when you care for someone else, this is what happens. These are things they need to understand. That when we care for someone, we understand that we need each other. That it portrays the idea that we need each other. In this story, God gives us each other to help each other, to help that other person's needs. You see, Elijah may have helped the widow and her son, but the widow and her son also helped Elijah. I think of this story in high school. You see, when I was in high school, I also didn't like a lot of the times what the lunch cafeteria food. And so most of the time I would either, the money that my mom would give me, I would hold it for Wendy's, or I would just not eat anything until my mom got home. But one day, I got into, I was sitting down at the table, it was during lunchtime, and one of my people that I used to play with in sports, he comes and sits next to me, and he says, bro, you're not going to eat? And I was like, nah, bro, I'm not going to eat. And he pulls out this sandwich. I've never seen this sandwich in my life. He pulls out this sandwich and has like some brown substance in between the bread. And I'm like, bro, what is that? He says, it's a Nutella sandwich. I don't know if you've heard of that. I've never heard of that personally. And I was like, you're actually going to eat that for lunch? I'm thinking like maybe a dessert. But no, he ate that for lunch. And then he told me, try a piece. Let me tell you something. That's going to be served in heaven for sure. Because that thing was fire. The Nutella sandwich, I don't know who invented it. I don't know if he was the one who invented it. But it was amazing. And he saw that at that moment, I wasn't eating anything. I wasn't consuming anything. And he knew that my need was food. And he helped me. He helped me at that moment. And from that day on, he would literally make me a Nutella sandwich for most of the times during lunch. In that same way, Elijah, in this story of Elijah, man, God used the widow and her son to help Elijah, but then, and same thing, in response, Elijah helped the widow and her son. Man, God has created for both you and I, to help each other because we need each other. Second thing that I want for us to understand when we care for each other is that God works through our hands. See, there are many people in our world, in our country, in our neighborhood, in our schools that need help, that want help. See, like Elijah, God has only commanded us to just go. To just go. We have to be willing to go where God leads us. As a matter of fact, I love that right now, as I'm talking to y'all, right now, Jessica Barrera, which is our experience director, she's right now in the back. And she, before she started serving here at Christ Fellowship, she was serving at this organization called His House. It's an orphanage. And she would care and love on these kids that didn't have parents. And that's just one way. Maybe you're trying to think of an idea, or Gabe, I want to help. I feel like I can't help, but I don't know where to. Man, His House is one of the other organizations that you can go ahead and serve and help. God works through our hands when we care for one another. And the last thing that I want for us to understand when it comes to caring for someone's needs is that when you care for someone else's needs, you must understand that the relationship matters. It matters. See, Elijah, when he went to this widow, that God sent Elijah to this widow, he didn't just send a check to this widow. He didn't just give this widow money and then dipped. No, he went intentionally, had a conversation with her, established a relationship with her, and then even in the aftermath, he stood with her and her son. And if you continue reading, he then prays for her son. And I love that because, 2 years ago, when my family and I got infected with COVID, and we were in our house and we couldn't do anything. Although we had food at our house, one of our pastors at the time, Pastor Ray Perez, some of y'all know him. Pastor Ray Perez decided, because he cared for us and because he loved us and because he understood that relationships do matter, because we couldn't go anywhere out to eat, he grabbed Chick-fil-A for all of us. And Chick-fil-A is gas. He grabbed Chick-fil-A for all of us and dropped it off at our house. Because he understood that as a pastor, his responsibility and his heart was not only to care for our spiritual needs, not only to care for our loneliness, but to also care for our practical needs. He understood that we couldn't go out to eat, so he gave us food. Because relationships matter when we care for others. Now, I'm going to close off with this because you're probably asking, all right, Gabe, I know the relationships matter, and I know that God has called for me to care for my friend, for me to care for my cousin, for me to care for fill in the blank, but I don't know who, and I don't know how to. Well, I'm going to leave you off with this question before I pray. And I want to encourage you and challenge you all, wherever you are, to just close your eyes right where you are and think of that person. Think of that someone who you know might have a need that you can help meet with. Whether that's they need just a conversation, they need a relationship, a friendship, whether it's, man, they just need some food. Maybe they need just some guidance for you to go through the Word and just talk to them and be with them through the Word of God. Whoever that person is, I want for you to think about that person. And then I want for you to ask the second question. What is one way you are going to help them? You are going to care for them this week. My challenge for each and every one of you is whoever that person is, that action step that you have developed in your mind, that by the end of next Friday, which is rally, I want for you to care for that person. I want for you to help that person. Care for them because God constantly cares for both you and I. He has called us to love not only our friends, not only our families, but He's called us to love everyone that we know. So maybe it's going to His house. Maybe it's going to a different organization, feeding someone else. Maybe it's having a conversation. Whatever that action step is, my challenge for you is that before next Friday, you would do just that. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for tonight. God, thank you for constantly pouring your grace upon us, God. For always caring for us, whether we're in the lowest of our valley or in the highest of the peak of the mountain, God, you have constantly shown out and you've constantly poured your love and grace upon us. And so we just thank you, God. God, thank you that in this story of Elijah, that you fulfilled your will. That although Elijah might have not understood, that Elijah willingly went to go and care for this widow because he understood, he knew that that was the greater purpose. And in the same way, God, sometimes you have called us to do something small, but we've been rebellious towards you. So right now, I just pray that every single person that is listening to this, that they would go out and they would help that person, that they would care for that person's need, that they would care not only for their spiritual need, which is most important, but also for their practical need, whether that's caring for them in their physical capacities, whether it's mentally, emotionally, whatever the case may be. I pray that we would challenge ourselves and we would act upon this truth. We love you, Lord, and we thank you. And to Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen and amen. Well, CFS, I love you all. Next week is Rally. I'm excited to see you all. Have a great rest of the week.